Welcome to Extropy on Air, the podcast from Extropy Advisors, where we dive into the world of AI, digital transformation, and the future of business. Each episode will bring you perspective from leaders, innovators, and experts across industries, all focused on helping organizations and, more importantly, people thrive in a changing world. Let's get started.
Welcome to Extropy on Air. My name is Mike Jasper. I'm a director here at Extropy Advisors. And today I'm really happy to be here in our global headquarters in Florida with our CEO, Gutman.
Hello, everyone. Emily, I get to have a moment with you here in the office. And being a remote company, there's special occasions where we do bring people here to our corporate office here in Fort Myers, Florida. And I got to get Mike a little bit from the cold weather up north and to some of the beautiful winter weather that we have here. So to talk about the Horizon 2025 and a little bit about 2026, and very exciting.
And I got to say, from my standpoint, the day before I left, it was 10 degrees out and it was snowing. I got to snow blow the driveway, salt the walkway, and then get on a plane and come down to the 70-degree weather. So
See, that's
definitely not a heartache to be down here in sunny Florida. So like you said, we're talking about 2025 and 2026. Let's start that from the AI journey. I think we started 2025 with a lot of organizations having AI initiatives, AI mandates. There was a lot of movement in that market throughout the year. Let's talk a little bit about what you saw from the industry in general around AI.
Yeah, we see a lot of different reports coming out right now to summarize what really happened in 2025 in the market. Unfortunately, I think one of the most heartbreaking report that we saw is from McKinsey that only really 6% of the organization actually saw true value coming out of AI.
Did you say 6%?
6%, yes. They did see that about over 60% really tried to implement different type of AI strategies and are really trying to bring it more and more within the organization. But really 6% of companies today actually saw benefits coming through this organization. I think that's where we see a lot of the fatigue coming of a position that really tried to do all these different things throughout the year and not seeing that true realization that they expected from it. I think it a little bit cost more mayhem and havoc than they expected from that as well.
So you said about 60% tried it and 6% succeeded.
Yes.
Thinking about that, what are some of the reasons you think that, or so many organizations fail to see value from their AI initiatives?
I would probably divide it to 3 different approaches that we've seen with AI. The first one is more mature teams that wanted to tackle this and start building their own type of a homegrown solution. And unfortunately, what we've seen is AI is still changing a lot. Main companies are coming with different type of models. So it could be that you just built something that worked, and in a few months, the model has changed and you need to revamp everything. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of internal teams or more advanced teams realize, that they need to really think about how they approach and tackle these type of things, knowing that there's so much unknown around these models still in the market.
And so much maturity in them as well.
Yeah, indeed. And I think the other approach that we've seen is finding those technology partners that have started investing and ramping in AI that has provided really high hopes and big ROIs around these. A lot of organizations have not realized how to build that trust or that joint workforce between AI and the people that they have to really get the true benefits from AI. So they maybe have implemented a great tool, but if the team doesn't know how to use it, doesn't understand the why behind it and the benefits from it, then we see that a lot of these teams are not getting the true value, even though it's a great system. And something we've seen for many years, but throughout the years as well with other solutions.
Not even AI, just technology in general. That's one of the common issues you see.
Yes, absolutely. The third one is where we're excited about is where a consulting AI partners come in place, where more and more companies are looking for consulting groups like ourselves to really think about the different type of strategy for them. And I think this is where it's very exciting if you approach this as to how do we solve these small problems and find those small things with big values to help our team. And I think it's a very exciting market for these consulting agencies right now. And I would say for me, for 2026, this is where I'm excited that we're sitting essentially to coming to our customers.
One of the things I've seen is, especially at the beginning of 2025, a lot of the advice in the market was start small. Get into AI, start building an AI culture, get some quick wins. I think one of the challenges I saw was organizations took that as, let's create something small against a big problem. So they looked at, across the organization, what are the biggest issues we have? And let's try and tackle it with a simple AI tool and a simple AI strategy. And that's where you get simple results. So if you looked at it differently, if I said, I want to start with some quick wins, how do I take a smaller problem and address it thoroughly through an AI and human strategy? Then you're going to get better results against that one smaller issue. And that builds momentum in the organization. That builds a win story, that builds excitement, and that builds support from the C-level down to continue that investment.
Yeah, and I think that's really, you hit the nail on the head on that one. That is really what we are seeing that is missing more than anything. Those really success stories, those use cases, those things that is really, that a team is feel the value that is coming from these solutions.
That's 6%.
Yeah. And I'll share this even for our own organization. Like, I think we went through this entire year trying to figure out, like, how are we helping our consulting teams through agentic AI to ramp up on how we are teaching people, how are we sharing information within the organization. And there were a lot of failed projects on our side as well, trying to figure out what is the right modeling, what is the best value for our team, because really with the way and the pace that AI is growing and the way it evolved just this year, it's like we're in a stage that you can think about 10 different solutions in a second. And really, where do you focus your problem? Like, where do you focus your time right now to create that true value?
Absolutely. I think one of the things, if I'm going to take some positivity out of that report that you shared, yes, there was failures and lack to see value from AI from a lot of organizations over this last year. And like you said, ourselves included, we went through some examples and tried some things, but at the same time, that means organizations are understanding the importance of AI. They're understanding they need to get into it. And that failure, as long as they don't end their journey at that, that's a good stepping stone to refine your process, refine your strategy, and work with your people to adopt these technologies as they come.
Yes, everyone understands now finally that AI is here to stay. Same thing as we had the revolution of the internet coming. Yep. This is that same type of revolution. People understand that they need to find a way to work with this, regardless to your experience, regardless to your job, regardless to how old you are. It's like I see that even working with my parents and giving them the different type of tools for my father in his business and how it can work better in his own practice. And one of the things that I like from the report that we took this internally as well, a lot of teams are just trying to think, okay, one department, one use case is, and one of the unique things that was in that report, that 6% that was actually winning on those values is actually the ones that didn't start with one team and one problem. They actually deployed it across 5 different departments and across the organization and tried to push these type of projects at multiple ways. And those are the teams that start to see the value because they started feeding each other and between the different departments on how to approach the different things and solve different problems for the organization together holistically.
Well, that makes sense to me because if you look at any organizational problem, it's very rarely 100% siloed to one group. We work a lot in finance. If we go through issues in AP, issues in AR, issues in finance, they're touching multiple areas of the organization. They're touching supplier, they're touching audit, they're touching manufacturing or operations. To try to solve that issue without input and collaboration within those groups, you're only going to get so far.
Correct. That's the one thing that we have tried also throughout the years is find a different ways of breaking those silos. And we know that one team has implemented a system that is impacting so many other people, but the other people are just not using it. They went and implemented their own systems. How many times have we seen that?
They didn't even know they implemented the system.
Yes. Or IT is trying to solve a problem.
But they're doing it in a silo. And
the department doesn't even know it's a problem for that. But that is where I think I'm most excited that we have spent our time to figure out what is the best strategy to approach an AI transformation this year for us as a company, realizing what are the steps that needs to come together as a team, to break those silos between a team and how to approach those type of entropy problems, as we call it here, and within organizations and get that true realization and optimization with the team. And even though we had our, again, trial and error and we have invested a lot on things that didn't stick But figuring out and refine that methodology and that we can take to our customers right now and help them get the value for that is probably the things that I'm most excited about.
If we step back on this, we mentioned collaboration, cross-departmental collaboration, human first. I think those are two of the big keys for success in any transformation in general. Digital transformation, process transformation, AI transformation. But if we're going to think about assuming somebody's taking that approach, what's the best key advice you can give them to help guide them towards success? What's the first thing you would stress with them?
Again, everyone are together on the starting small. But for me, most importantly, is building that trust as you build this together, because you can have the best IT team, AI resources, they can come up with the best ideas. But if you don't have the business together, working through this, building the trust, understanding what is the actual output that comes from these type of solutions and help refining it as part of the process, that is where those failure points comes in place. And that's where that AI is great, but it's horrible when it's just try to be used by itself and
as a replacement.
And when we see that, not only when it's AI and essentially us as people, as a team, not only of working together and querying together, building your own prompts as a team, like what are the things that we're looking to get from AI, and building that and making sure that we get those outputs to the organizations. And building that trust, because the team was part of that process of building this tool for the organization. That is what makes that successful. That was even for us internally, trying to solve something for our team versus trying to solve something with the team.
Yes.
And bringing them in as part of that process. A lot of time there's a fear. It's like, what does this person know about this very complex field? This is where our superpowers here in Extropy. There is that very special way of simplifying things for those end users, for the people in the operations, to find a way to make that exciting for them, and how we approach these problems with them, how we make them as part of that process. And that's what we're seeing a lot of in our AP teams and procurement teams, more than anything, that they've helped us build smart splitting and smart fetch. They've just been part of those MVPs, helping us calibrating those tools that we're now sharing across our customers.
I think my big tip for any organization is very similar to where you started, but I'm going to take it a little bit different direction. It's making sure you understand and align on the why. Usually these types of initiatives start with one group and one specific issue. But when you go out, like we said, you have to go understand how this affects other parts of the organization. And as you do that, that why needs to expand out, and that why needs to mature to help address how the root causes of the issue or the output of that issue that affects other departments, to help build that teamwork and that trust that I'm not just trying to solve something for this one group. I'm trying to solve something that's causing issues across the entire organization. If you can align that why to the issues of those different groups and the output and the input from those users that are going to be affected by it, get their buy-in on it, that's where you're going to start getting a lot of that trust and have a lot more successful project.
You're right. And Mike is actually speaking here from experience, because I think that was probably one of our first failure points, and I should have gotten there, as we just went through so much throughout that. And that is probably one of our biggest lessons learned. Now today, that everything that we do is, first, we are extremely clear onto the why of what we're trying to solve, because that is when we started our journey of automating and things internally to support our team to figuring out everything in our spaces. We just found a lot of different solutions, a lot of different results. We focused on a lot of different things. We have not spent enough time on that why, and that Mike is speaking, like I said, from experience on this, and that is definitely something that we have changed completely.
The stars from it.
And we'll definitely, everything we do now starts from that why.
Yep, 100%. So we've recapped 2025 pretty well.
Yes.
Given, some ideas of what happened in the market, as well as some advice on if you're starting your AI journey, if you're stalled in your AI journey, what you should be thinking about as you go forward. But in the theme of going forward, let's talk about next year. Let's talk about 2026. What do we see in the market? How is Extropy approaching artificial intelligence?
I'm going to start first with what we're seeing in the market, but I think a big piece of trying to figure out in 2025 was the whole security level around AI. And people are trying to figure out what are we deploying for the organization. It's Copilot what we need. If we want GPT, if we want a Gemini, like what is the right thing for our organization? What are the difference between those different AI tools? One of the things that I have realized this year is how much all of these different AI tools are just same as different type of employees with different type of skill sets. And more and more organization needed to figure out a way to work with a different type of modeling structure to really get to where they need, and figuring out how to solve different type of solutions in this market as well. I think one of the things that we're going to see that is very exciting, but Replit is just is doing a collaboration right now with Microsoft. So this will allow a lot of teams to actually start building homegrown applications faster within the organization. So that's going to be a huge transition. And we're definitely going to start seeing more mature teams that are going to develop their own type of solutions right now because of some of these changes. And now that they figure out the security piece with AI, which was one of the biggest issues. So if it's getting your own servers, if it's running everything in a closed environment, and how do we actually share the knowledge, essentially, the LMS models around our teams? So it's I feel like finally we're now getting to the stage that the noise has come down a little bit and companies are ready to actually build that type of strategy. And we see more that they're just looking for those partnership to work with coming up the next year. If it's a partner in solution, if it's partner in consulting and advisory, or if it's partners of companies that are building for them those type of AI tools internally. We see that even with some of the solutions that we have built for our customers. There's things that we have built on our own servers, and there's things that we have built on their own environment. Just being able to have that flexibility if you want to own your tool or if you want to use a tool from a provider. So I think that's one of the trends that we're going to see. Where we transformed, and I think this was a big moment for us as a company, is that we are now essentially our product team is stretched to 3 different lanes at any given moment. And if we have started our journey in building our own solutions for ourselves to really find a way to automate our own implementation practices, to find how we are leveraging AI in our own house. Also, in the same time, being available for our customers to solve different types of solutions that really has resulted with us actually creating solutions that we can share across our customers and go to market with. That's where our team is now between these 3 different elements right now, and we have transformed a lot. And this is what's going to be exciting, that advisory is going to play a very big role for Extropy this year.
Absolutely. And I like this approach we're taking, because implementing AI internally to solve issues and to help us optimize and follow our own transformation journey, that brings us a lot of benefit. It brings our clients a lot more speed, and it builds that knowledge internally of not just the tools and how to use them, but the why and how to use them. So, I like that core foundation that we built. And then being able to go out to clients, and rather than saying, here's a tool, our approach is, let's talk about where the inefficiencies are that you haven't been able to transform yet. Every system that you implement starts and stops somewhere. So what we tend to do with our clients is look around that start, look around that endpoint of their digitized process, and where are the manual points and where are the inefficiencies that enter that process or leave that process. And that's where you start finding areas that cause a lot of frustration within the organization, because they've gone through this transformation. They've done all this automation, and they still have these points that they're dealing with. And then from there, we can always, productize. If it's a common issue, we can turn that into a product and take that to market. But that's what excites me about our journey, is that we're implementing everything ourselves first, and then we're bringing it out to the market as a solution, not a product.
Correct. And I think that's that approach of really focusing on utility tools that actually gives our team time to bring back to the organization. Because there's so many incredible enterprise solutions. We were working with so many of them, and you've heard that throughout our episode here that we have. But really, in every one of these scenarios, as they build their ecosystem, there's still a lot of manual mundane work that doesn't require any really something even thinking of, just like downloading different documents and splitting different documents and all these different other cases of managing your emails, managing supplier interaction, all these different spaces that has so much benefits to find a way to create those small utilities tools that gives back time to the users and allow all these enterprise solutions just to work holistically better.
Yeah. And the nice thing is by doing that in sort of those small sprint like cycles with a client, we can put together a solution that they can implement in a day.
Yes.
And they could see value from the same day and continue to see value from. And then we can work with them on how we refine that to see even more value as they go forward. So it's nice to see a partnership with our clients and be able to work on the issues they're seeing and continue to mature those.
Yes. And I think we took an approach that I'm hoping to see more and more of our partners take as well, but really just allowing a customer to first go in, try it, play with it, see the value it gives to you right now, and then start using that application yourself. And really, we have built everything off of that user feedback. Getting that user feedback loop right now is more important than ever. There's so many use cases, so much more use cases that are out there.
So Ravit, we talked a lot about several different topics today. We went through kind of what we saw in 2025 with AI and the success or lack of success organizations have seen, some tips on how to improve that going forward. And we also gave a little bit about what Extropy is doing with artificial intelligence with our clients and what we're looking forward to in the next year. Any final thoughts for us?
First of all, I'm going to say I really hope I get to spend most of my time with the Chief Innovation Officer next year, because I am really having way too much fun with this AI revolution. And I'm like, this is right up my jam. I think it's been fun to even reinvent ourselves a little bit and push ourselves to really how we're going to look in the next 10 years. So A lot is changing from our standpoint. Even some of the people in caliber we are attracting right now to Extropy because of that. So as I said, very excited about the advisory piece that is coming up and for all these different utility tools that we have built. And I would say more than anything, now more than ever, focusing on our teams, focusing on people, the people journey within this a revolution is more impactful than ever. The fact that I've had a decade of building a methodology that is people focused and having the empathy around how to deal with that transformation. I'm very excited to really launching our playbook that will be coming up as well to our customers to how to take this methodology at scale. Because we started as something as to those solutions that we implement, and we now see that this holds water more than anything in this AI revolution. That is something that I'm personally very excited about giving our customers and anyone else that is looking for that step-by-step handbook and guide that will allow them to understand how they can continue and transform forward.
We brought up a couple topics that we're going to have to do another podcast on.
Yep.
Advisory in AI, what that means, and how to look at AI from a human-centric perspective. I think those are great topics. So I'm going to be stealing some more of your time here very quickly.
Absolutely. You come join me here as well, Florida.
Now through March, I'll be down here as much as you want.
Definitely.
And when it starts getting hot, you can come up and see me in the Northeast.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for joining me today. And everybody, thank you for listening to Extropy on Air. If you found this valuable, please like it, subscribe to it, and continue to watch us.
Thanks for listening to Extropy on Air. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode, and connect with us at Extropy Advisors to continue the conversation on AI and digital transformation. Until next time, I'm Kevin Zirkle, and this has been Extropy on Air.